but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before the new. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I like to be away in my patience. Stay up, I feel so outdated. How can we look the other way? Sun is out, but the sky is gray. What would happen if I took a chance? It's always hard at first glance. I don't wanna, but I know I gotta do it. The truth is hard to swallow, I think I'll chew it. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problems. I wish I knew. I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away. I But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know.
Hi. Oh, it's the one thing that I'm just looking at the setup you got on the stream because it's the first time I'm seeing it now. Yeah, so it's just me, large on the sofa. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Hmm. It's like 3 weeks. Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's you told me. Hi. It is. It is I. Hi. What else am I to say? I'll take my glasses off because I feel like you can't see me properly with the bloody seeing this screen. My eyes aren't that bad. To be honest, I can still see stuff all right without them. Not bad. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, oh. Well, that's a shame because I haven't said much apart from arguing back. Hurry up! She's crying. If you
Right,
can't
they
hear
can
that.
definitely hear me now. Jesus. Oh, it sometimes doesn't think of this microphone as the default, so it switches to the default, and it's So SpecDubPod. Going back to what we said before.
Yay.
It's been a long time since we've done it. And yeah, it's because life has been far too busy. It's been a busy few weeks. But instead of us just trying to find conversation, let's start a conversation. So we'll jump into the first topic. Here we go.
If you're not aware, the Switch has been out for like 24 hours, maybe 48 hours at the time of this recording, and a gentleman named David Buchanan over on Blue Sky has landed a userland ROP chain on the first day of its existence, and through this ROP chain, he's able to arbitrarily write to the frame buffer of the Switch 2, allowing him to render this little graphic here on the Switch 2.
Unfortunately, Joy-Con 2 drift has been confirmed for the Switch 2 console. This was discovered by Reddit user Nearly Crossing in this video that you see here, where they're trying to calibrate the left Joy-Con and clearly it's off axis.
Joe Poslano got his hands on the brand new Nintendo Switch at midnight, but there was just one little problem, or technically two.
Two nice little cracks right in the screen.
Puncture holes damaging his brand new screen after a GameStop employee stapled the receipt directly to the box.
Switch 2, oh no.
I like that guy's face at the end.
So the Switch 2 has finally been released,
and
there's been some issues with it already.
Some.
So I just want to point out as well, for me and Hugh, we actually both worked in a video game store, a UK-based one called Game.
Yeah.
I did it for about a year. I don't know how long you were there for.
I was in and out, but I did more than a year. But I just kept popping in and out of the job. Just because they kept running out of staff, and I came back in every now and then to buy something or to sell something. I'm like, do you want a job again? It's like, yeah, okay, I'll take money.
So the first thing I want to mention is the stapling on the box. That's standard.
That's what we used to do.
Yeah, everybody did it. And that's usually because the products are usually packaged so well, you're not going to even worry about it.
There's usually like a layer of cardboard, or if there is something there, it's not going to be something that could be easily damaged. Integral things like that would be stored closer to the center of the box.
Typically. And like it's standard practice when it comes to pre-orders. You don't necessarily, because I know many people probably sitting there going like, yeah, but when I pick up a console, they just give me the receipt. Yeah, you probably do. But when it's pre-ordered, it's easier if we staple it on there, that we can see who it's for, and we know it's a pre-order because it's the ones with the staples on them. It just makes things easier for us.
So that GameStop employee, that's not their fault.
It's not their fault at all. But ignoring that, how can a couple of staples, and they are just staples, damage a screen like that? Yeah,
because is it a touch screen? Do we know?
It is, yeah.
Maybe that. Well, no, even then,
but even your phone's a touch screen.
My phone's a touch screen, and a stapler would scratch it, but it won't go through it.
Hey, howdy, kid.
Oh, Kendall. Hello.
But that's my issue with it. I used to work in a phone store. I've had many jobs. I used to work in a phone store, and what I used to do to try and show off Gorilla Glass on phones is I used to grab my pen and jab the phone to show it wouldn't leave any marks. Great way of selling phones, by the way, if you're ever in that position. But I don't know what I'd do with the Switch 2. I'd be like, treat it like a little fucking baby.
Yeah. How much are they going to charge for the screen protectors?
Well, this is it. Apparently, it has this film on top of it that looks like a peel-off, like screen protectors. Like,
oh no, it's not that.
So people have been peeling it off, and it's not been an issue. But it's just the only protection it's got. Nintendo apparently have been telling them not to remove it because if the screen shatters, it's the only thing stopping you from getting cut.
Right.
I just want to see your reaction on that one. It's a whole thing, and the fact is, at the end of the day, it's a hand.
Why would the screen shatter? Why would a screen like that shatter and fall off like that? My phone has had cracks and pieces of like chunks and stuff, but they don't fall off.
But I also want to point out, Nintendo makes, and I'm sorry to upset Nintendo people, it makes primarily children's games. So one of the main audiences for them are kids, and if you met kids before, they're very heavy-handed.
Oh, when I used to work in the video game shop, how many returns I got from like PlayStation and Xbox controllers? Oh my god! Every week there was like at least 5.
And all of them going, "Oh, it came like that."
Yeah, when in reality, I know that you little piece of shit 10-year-old just threw across the room when Fortnite wasn't going so well. Yep. I know for a fact that's what it was.
But those things even are designed to take a beating. Even back down to the Sega Master System, you could beat that thing around a bit.
God, yeah.
But this, from what it seems, you accidentally drop it because you sneeze, and that's it. No more Switch 2.
It's done. It's gone.
And you're willing to spend £350 on that?
Well, I'm not.
I mean, I kind of am. If I wasn't moving country, then I'd probably have one by now, I'll be honest with you.
What games does it have, though? I haven't even seen anything about games for it.
Mario Kart World. They do Donkey Kong. It does look good.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm sure there are other releases.
Is there a Pokemon launch title?
There will be one, kind of. They're not a launch title, but
not a launch title. No.
Pokemon ZA is coming out on it, which looks good. And
they're running out of names.
That the next mainline game will be Switch 2 exclusive.
Right.
Because ZA is both at the moment, but after the previous Pokemon game, I don't know if I'd want to pick it up for the Switch one.
Yeah, I've not heard very good things at all.
The lag is unbelievable, honestly. I'll tell you what, actually, speaking of the Switch one and its lagginess, me and Nick have been playing Hyrule Warriors, and it's got a 2-player mode on it. Brilliant game. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
But not with split screen on the Switch's power, because the lag 5 frames per second at times. It looks like that anyway. It's unplayable at times when there's a lot going off on the screen, and it's meant to be a lot going off on the screen. It's one of these,
it's a
army games.
Big crowd, yeah.
But yeah, it's bad.
Do they not think to test that?
Apparently not. They just thought, let's stick multiplayer on it because we can.
with more things that we have to talk about the Switch too, then they seem to not have put any kind of testing.
Let's go on to the next one, Joy-Con drift.
Yeah, let's go on.
So Joy-Con drift was the one massive issue people had with the original Switch, because unfortunately, people would play their consoles. It would usually take quite a while, in fairness. I've never had a Joy-Con drift controller. I know people who've had many, and there's me who's never had one that's started drift on me.
I've had one.
You've had one?
Just the one.
So it's not too bad, but at the end of the day, it's enough that there was people talking about it, and everybody's heard about it, and it's an issue. So the first thing you'd have thought is, look, we're redesigning these Joy-Cons, we're making new ones. Let's make sure we put in a different kind of sensor in it, or some way of stopping Joy-Con drift, because I've never heard this much of an issue with Joy-Con drift. I mean, Joy-Con drift was never a thing, but stick drift, if you will, as the Switch. Every console has the possibility of having a stick drift. It's quite normal.
We did get a few back.
Oh,
the shop.
Because I wasn't working there when the Switch was released.
No, you weren't, yeah. So we did get a few of them back with stick shift, with ghosting. And it was, that one was a tough one. And I don't remember what the policy was, why would I? But I don't remember what the policy was, but we had to be quite strict since just in case I don't know what kind of FBI, CAA shit the freaking companies do nowadays, but a certain company took over, and they're not a very good company to work for.
Oh, yes, the one that was in trouble for not doing Welsh properly at one point.
Yes, and also stuff with money, as far as I remember, but again, I'm not pointing any fingers.
I was just mentioning the one thing that I know you would know, so we can be on the same page.
That one was... That was fucked, pardon my French.
Not naming the company, but they essentially banned the use of the Welsh language in their stores in Wales.
Which is illegal.
Which is, number one, illegal, and two, fucking idiotic.
Yeah, it's stupid, yeah. Why would you... Yeah.
It lowers sales as well, because one thing that a lot of people do is when they go to somewhere and they get to speak their native language, they actually enjoy speaking their native language. And it would increase sales, it increase friendliness,
Yeah. It's not just that either, though. If you're like Welsh people and they find out that a company's done that, they will not go there anymore. They will stop.
It destroys everything. But I mean, it's also the fact, I'm not saying this is just exclusively Wales and Welsh. If someone joined my team and spoke, I don't know, French, and then some French person came in and started speaking to me in French, I'd be like, no, please carry on, because you're increasing sales here. You're doing well, because they're going to go, oh, that French person works there and I can come back here. It's a good thing. But anyway,
we are. We're going on a big old tangent. Switch 2, already getting ghosting, and when did it release?
Well, oh gosh. It's been, what, a week or two? It's not been long.
No, it really hasn't.
But this person with the Joy-Con drift, literally it came out of the packet like that. Which is another issue entirely.
Like, I know they've had problems. I know they've had problems with the Switch 1, but you'd think...
They'd realise that's their primary issue.
Yeah, you'd think that they would actually do something about it, instead of just let it
I wonder if it's the balancing of price and performance. Because, I mean, I don't think anybody was particularly, apart from, like, the Pokemon stuff and, like I said, the Zelda, was too worried too much about the Switch's performance. At the end of the day, most games would optimize for what the console was available for, so it's not too much of an issue. But the hardware people had been moaning about.
Yeah, no, because I know there were some games that had performance problems.
Yeah.
Wait, which game did they make on the Switch that ran like absolute arse lately? Which one was that?
I mean, Pokemon was one.
No, there was another big one that had been out for a while, and they ported it, and it didn't work that well.
Ported? Oh, God. Wasn't Cyberpunk, was it? Because they've been advertising Cyberpunk like crazy for the Switch too.
It may have been. I don't know.
From my understanding with Cyberpunk, they just set the graphics to low and got rid of the ray tracing.
Yeah.
So it's not probably not the most optimal way of playing the game, to be honest with you. Also, have you ever played an FPS on the Switch?
No.
Doesn't feel right.
I believe you.
Yeah, it just... I don't know why. I can play it on a normal controller, but a Switch...
Did you ever play first-person shooters on the Wii?
I loved that.
I loved that. They freaking got jackpot with that one.
Yeah, I mean...
that's perfect.
Because, I mean, let's just be honest. The main best way to play an FPS is on a computer and with a keyboard and mouse. Or even on a console with keyboard and mouse these days, you can do that.
Yeah, you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that you could do that.
So
Yes.
when you had the Wii remote, you technically kind of had a mouse.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah, because you could literally point. You would just point to
Point and
what you wanted to do. Yeah,
it was great.
it was fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it. The Conduit, Red Steel, absolutely not dog shit games at all. Trust me, believe me, they're not.
Okay, I can't really comment. I didn't blame.
No, the Conduit was pretty crap, but Red Steel was sick. And you know what? If we get a chance, I should. I think I have a copy somewhere, and I'll bring it over to show you. It's a fun game.
You know, got my
yes.
But yeah, it's such a shame because you bought a console, you spent £350, and again, I think it's a price to performance issue. I think they're trying to save money in certain areas, and for some reason they think the Joy-Cons as they are, or they're trying to make money, or they could be trying to sell more Joy-Cons.
Cutting costs. At the end of the day, Nintendo is a corporation, and they have been really showing their ruthless side a lot lately.
Well, I mean,
especially they're not a nice company.
If you were aware that there is a license now on Switches where you do not own the console, you own the right to use the console, which is just a ridiculous thing.
So many companies are doing that. Ubisoft has been doing that a lot, and they are getting in deep shit. This is a whole conversation with the whole having the license to be able to use the software or the hardware, whatever. This brings up a whole conversation where these big developers and studios and publishers, they keep making these decisions that just pisses everybody off, and then they're complaining that we're losing, Ubisoft especially, that we're losing money. Oh, we're going to have to cut more jobs. Just stop making these terrible decisions. They're all terrible. You know they're terrible decisions, but you still keep going for it, and yet you still complain.
And then we have beautiful Lord Gaben, who's like, oh wait, you want refunds on games you don't like? Yeah, we'll sort that. Wait, what?
Gabe, yeah. No, I love Gabe.
Yeah, Gaben's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's Steam for people who don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there are companies who are doing good, there are companies who are doing bad. And unfortunately, it seems like there's more and more bad going on. I feel like people are more money hungry than they used to be. That's how
it's either that or they're just able to be more blatant about it, or
the fact that, the Switch 2 cartridges as well. So believe it or not, there's 3 different types of cartridges you can get. Technically, 2 of them are exactly the same, but it's because I saw this video and someone explained it, and I went, do you know what, that kind of makes sense.
Okay.
So you've got your standard Switch 2 cartridges, which have the games loaded on it, good to go. You then have the pointless Switch 2 cartridges, which I'll come back to because that one's hilarious. And then you've got the Switch 2 cartridges that a digital download code is on the cartridge, but you still can't play the game without the cartridge inside the console.
So the cartridge is basically a key.
Yeah. It actually has got a key logo on it. Number 2 one that doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. I watched a YouTuber talking about it because they... sorry for everybody, because it's going to refer to a terrible company, in my opinion, at this point. They were playing Harry Potter Legends.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd bought it on the Switch 1, and then and then what you do with most Switch 1 games, if you've got the original cartridge, say you picked up Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, for example, or Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, you pop it in and it goes, hey, there's an upgrade, do you want it? Do you want to have it on Switch 2 graphics, or would you rather just keep it on Switch 1? And you go, oh yeah, go on then, I'll pay an extra £10 and get the Switch 2 one, happy days. These games, they've gone, oh, we've made an updated graphics version, but you need to buy the entire game again.
That is... that is cheeky, to say the least.
Which is what the Harry Potter game's done.
How dare...
Legacy is not Legends, huh?
The cheek.
I know.
So the absolute cheek. I didn't know that.
Cartridges. There's the standard. There's the, hey, we've just re-released this with slightly better graphics, but you have to pay for the entire game. And then there's the keys to download. And my biggest issue, anyway, is with not just the, having to buy a new one, but it's the keys to download one. It's cutting off the pre-owned market entirely.
Uh-huh.
And let's face it, it's a brilliant idea, pre-owned markets, especially since the majority of games, almost every game at this point, has got DLC. All you're doing is going, hey, when you're done with this game, sell it, someone else buys it, and then they pay for DLC, and we make more money.
Yeah. So it's not just that either. Business sense. if business sense, I understand. Not that I sympathise, not that I agree, but I understand why publishers don't like it, because then they get more copy sales instead of the pre-owned money going to whoever sold it, which could be anybody. It goes, it's a new copy every time. That means the money goes directly to the publisher.
I understand that, but at the same time, when
I'm
the
not
games
agreeing with
are
it.
60, 70, 80 pounds per game,
it's ridiculous. No way development costs, because that's the price for like a hard copy, and they're charging the same on Steam, which is on digital markets, which is ridiculous.
Also, I've just had a little idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how long ago was Mario Kart 8 released on the Switch?
I don't even know.
It's around the start time of the Switch, because it was originally on. It was originally on. Yeah. 18? It was originally on Wii U, and it moved up to the Switch.
Mm.
So just to point out, the issue isn't just the fact that old games don't depreciate. It's not just the fact that. Anyway, the issue is that old games don't depreciate on Switch. It does on other consoles. A game that's been out for. Well, I mean, try and pick up Skyrim. You can probably find it for $5. But
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch will cost you £38.
That's a lot. That was years ago. So it's
not
things
like someone can go, "Oh, I'll wait for it to go cheaper." It's literally you're not going to get the sales because people who can't afford it won't be able to afford it. Period.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was just someone bought it secondhand for £12 and then saw the DLC for £5 and went, "Yeah, go on, you've made an extra £5."
Yeah.
Yeah, you might get slightly more sales, but I think in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to have those impulse buys coming in, so you're not going to have the people who are going to find a game and go, "Do you know what, this is actually really good, I do want to put more money in it."
When you pay attention to, like, big company habits and why they make the decision, all the decisions that they make, you realize everything is for, like, the quickest buck in the shortest time possible. They think in the short term all the time.
But that doesn't work.
I know, and they don't learn. That's the problem. They never learn. We should really try and start using that against them.
Yeah, the issue is, in the grand scheme of things, it's Nintendo.
Yeah,
Nintendo makes Nintendo games on Nintendo consoles. You can't get it anywhere else legally. You can't. It's a monopolized market in itself. So
sure.
They will get the sales, and they know they will, and I think they can charge these exorbitant amounts because people will pay it.
Well, in terms of like the money stuff, did you see what the developer, something about the developer of Borderlands, still saying they're going to charge like $80 or something for a copy of either a remake or a new game?
Oh, Borderlands 4's coming out. Maybe it's that.
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah.
Oh, don't say that. I want Borderlands.
And it's.
I like Borderlands.
Don't buy the new one then. Because it's like the kind of people that are publishing it, they've essentially put, considering how much everything costs nowadays, when you're charging like £80 or whatever, £70 for a game, what you really what I see is that these companies put the value of their product, which everything's overinflated now. It's ridiculous. Things don't need to be as expensive as they are. It's just greed. It's just greed at this point. It can't be anything else because they make hundreds of millions in profits every year.
I know.
But no, it's like you're placing the importance of your game. It's more important than someone's rent. At that price.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, realistically, you're talking £350 for the base console, and then an £80 game on top. So that's what, £430. Yeah, I've done my maths right.
Well,
that's more than my half of my rent. My half of my rent is £235.
With console sales, it's a bit different. Because a lot of companies undercharge for consoles because they rely on the so. Yeah.
Although that's interesting as well, because obviously when we look at Xbox now, and Xbox no longer having its own platform, I know they've got a store, but they're not going to have their own. They're basically making gaming computers now.
Yeah.
So, is that going to be working at a loss now? It's
that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So what, are they just making... Is the Xbox turning into that? Or are they just actually...
They've announced that they will... They're not doing their own platform anymore. They're not going... Xbox has died, essentially. And they will be working on gaming PCs, but that are Xbox branded, and that way that producers that people are making PC games can actually pander to the Xbox ecosystem. You could have, game companies sitting there going, these are the Xbox recommended graphics. And it makes things a lot easier because it'd be a widely used gaming PC. They've already released an ROG Ally, which is Xbox branded and runs the Xbox version of Windows on it.
Yeah.
If you didn't know.
I didn't know any of this.
There's a handheld Xbox now.
Do you know what? I'm going to say, right?
But it's brilliant. They've teamed up with Steam to do it.
I was going to say, because I was going to say, right, everybody's been talking shit about Microsoft and Xbox, and that, well, no, Xbox is separate to Microsoft nowadays, isn't it? Everybody's been saying that Xbox is making really stupid decisions, and it's like, oh, they're making everything accessible. It's like, oh, that's going to hurt their thing. No, it's not going to hurt them, because if it's more accessible, more people are going to get into it and pay for their stuff. They're going to buy it.
It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, they're making amazing decisions, and they are doing all the right things. Sony, fucked, right? Nintendo it's got Pokemon, it's got Mario Kart and everything. The thing is, the more they charge and the more aggressive they become, the less people they're going to appeal to. Yeah. Xbox, genius.
But then that's the other thing as well with the Nintendo thing. What's the target audience for their games? I mean, typically things like Pokemon and things like it's going to be children. And you're pricing children out of the market.
Yeah.
Because, I turned around to Nick and I said to him, I remember one year you got me 3 Mario games for the Switch, because I love my Mario. He got me 3 Mario games for the Switch, and I went, next time it'll come to the Switch 2 and you'll get me 1 game, and I'll be like, fucking hell, you didn't have to splurge so much, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, because how many would those 3 games cost nowadays? Probably about £240, I don't know.
They were about £20 each. So those 3 games...
Oh, back then, yeah.
No, when we got them. So those 3 games cost less than 1 Switch 2 game.
Jesus. See, this leads on to such a massive conversation. It expands further because you've got all these big companies that they're overpricing themselves out of business. Ubisoft, like I said earlier, big example. Ubisoft can go suck it. But then, that's why you're seeing a lot of independent studio hits at the moment. This is why.
Oh, I know you and I have been stuck on Schedule 1 like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fun game. I love cooking.
And it's a thing as well. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The thing as well, it's drawn my attention. I am somebody who is almost completely against any kind of drug to an extent.
Oh yeah.
I'm somebody who really doesn't see the fascination in it and really doesn't appeal to it. But the fact is, it's actually a decent simulator. And it's actually got good gameplay, and I'm stuck on it. And this is it. These indie games are coming up with these little innovative things. And do you know what? I went on Schedule 1 today, and do you know what it did? It said, we want to work on a new update. These are our 3 ideas. What do you want us to work on? Like, where's the companies that are doing that?
Do you want to know why? Right, this is such a big separation. So, big companies, they've got some freaking graduates in suits that don't understand gaming. All they understand is money, and they look at trends. They look at what's popular. They look at what's made money before. That's all they look at. They look at sales figures. They look at numbers. Exactly. Snore. They do not understand what people like, so they just do these things. That's the freaking live service games. They're trying to recreate Fortnite. They're trying to recreate PUBG. They're trying to. It'll never work because that corner of the market is already cornered. There's no point there's a monopoly there. You can't do anything because people are already faithful and they've already invested that much time. You can't break into it. Innovation comes from risk, so that's where you got all these independent developers just doing whatever the hell they want. And it works.
Schedule 1, but also Expedition 33 has been a smaller company, and that's done extraordinarily well. Nick, my boyfriend, he was stuck on it. He didn't move from the sofa for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's these smaller companies that seem to be doing well, and the best thing is, their games, I paid £15 for Schedule 1.
Yeah. I don't know how much
he has made a profit. He has made a significant profit.
Because it's just one guy. Yeah, because, oh my god, how many people... He has there's 500,000 people playing at one time.
Yeah.
which is
it's the same thing. You know, we
crazy.
look in the past. You look at things like Minecraft before it was bought out by Microsoft. You know, whether you're a fan of Minecraft or not, or Minecraft movie or not, you can see that there is success in just going back to basics, and it's something I'm finding that large companies are just not doing. And I think it will lead to a downfall. I really do.
It will. It'll be another like video game crash, like in the 80s. But it's not good. But it's going to be. It's more like going to be a rebirth, if anything, like a phoenix. Because instead of just focusing, the issue with money people is that they don't really have passion. The only thing they have passion for is making more money, which I can't think of anything that's just more miserable. The only thing that you can think of that makes you excited is making more money. That's what, like, independent development, that's where you get passion. That's where you get somebody that wants to make something that's worth playing.
Well, that goes on to the one point we haven't discussed in that video, and it's about making money. So...
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Switch in almost literally every Nintendo console, and I must admit, every Nintendo console apart from the Switch I have personally done this to, has been hacked.
Oh, yeah.
I have hacked my 3DS, I've hacked my DS Lite, I've hacked my Wii, I've hacked my GameCube, you know.
Nintendo! Listen to this, bitch!
But it doesn't necessarily mean I'm using it to play copyrighted games. I'm using it, for example, when I used to stream on my own channel, I used to be able to stream off the 3DS. And it wasn't a emulator. I never used an emulator. I managed to put software on the 3DS that managed to stream it to my computer. Because hacks can also be tools, and they can be useful ways of finding new ways to use the console, and actually can increase sales.
Yeah.
Usually quite significantly. But Switch has already turned around, Nintendo's turned around with the Switch 2, and they've said, right, you hack the console, we block your console. So a lovely, lovely man went, all right, bet. And he has hacked the Switch 2
console?
Within 24 hours of its release.
That is ridiculous.
It's brilliant.
It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. Just like the arrogance that I think that they've got.
It's fantastic. And it's these claims they make like, oh, this is unhackable, and if you did, we'd... Yeah, but someone's going to do it.
Well, someone's going to do it.
The thing is, all you're doing by sitting there going, this is an unhackable console, or by going, look, we will ban your Switch by hacking it,
you're just begging them competition. Yeah. You're begging them to do it at that point.
It's been so much so, he hasn't released the hack. That's the first thing to say. He's kept it private. It is confirmed that it is actually hacked. And so much so that Nintendo have now released a hacking bounty to try and figure out how he did it. So they're actually paying people to find out where the exploit was in order to try and patch it out.
I hope that guy keeps it a secret.
Oh, I do. Amen. I hope nobody finds out apart from him. But I think it's brilliant. Yeah. He sat there and he went, well, this is a flaw. Let's just exploit this.
I can't... Where's the security on their own software? Where's the stuff to stop people from doing that? What?
Well, no, it's fine. You signed an agreement saying that you won't do it.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's the security. Fucking
fat lot of good that's going to do.
Jesus Christ.
Surely you could hack it to the point where you can just stop it receiving instructions from Nintendo themselves. They can brick it, and it's just like, you can be like, if frickin' Nintendo says this, like, and you just put it to no or something. Like, just change that 0 to a 1. That's all you got to do.
I mean, everything's hackable. It's as simple as that. It's why you have Windows updates. It's why there's always all these updates going on things. Because it's possible to hack anything, and to claim it isn't, or to claim there's going to be issues, is just going to spur on people for doing it more.
Yeah, it's just inviting trouble.
So, you're not saving your money, you're not saving your things. I mean, they've been putting out lawsuits against people who've made emulators and stuff. By the way, emulation isn't illegal. This is the first thing I need to point out. If you own the game and the console, it is actually fully legal for you to emulate the games.
Yeah, fuck you, Nintendo.
That is the law in literally America and the UK. It literally is. I don't know about some other countries, but I know those two. And
if you don't own the games, that's illegal, and I personally will come after you. Understand?
Yes, we don't condone it. I won't say we don't partake in it, but we don't condone it.
On paper, I don't condone it.
Yes, there we go. That's the right way to put it.
It's preservation though. It's important.
Yeah, I mean, this is it as well. At the end of the day, like, I'm a bit of a video game collector. You know, we've got a PS1, PS2, things like that. But those games will only last so long. And that little itch that says nostalgia is going to live there. So, you know, my favourite nostalgic game is a game called Whiplash on PS2. I'm lucky I own the game, and it does work, and it's happy days. But I'll be honest with you, if anything happened to that game, I'd probably end up emulating it.
Yeah. I mean, discs wear out. Any kind of disc just wears out eventually.
And trying to put any of these protections in place to stop people from doing it is not going to work. People will find ways around the system. And you just saying it... I mean, I remember Nintendo's been a lot of hot water for this stuff. They tried to ban streamers and YouTubers from actually broadcasting the games.
Yes, I remember. This was a while ago. That I remember
10, 15 years ago, easily.
Yeah.
And in fact, I remember a channel I used to watch at the time. I don't watch it anymore. Not any particular reason. I think I just grew out of it. Was the Yogscast. And they went to do like an EGX or something, one of these big game festivals. And they did this brilliant bit where they walked in and they said, behind the camera is the Nintendo display. But thanks to their current boycott of YouTube and Twitch, we can't show you it. But we can show you their carpet. Look at this carpet. Isn't it really nice? It's a really nice carpet. Just trying to point out how ridiculous it is. Because anybody streaming or anybody doing over YouTube increases sales.
I was about to say they shot themselves in the foot with that one, because that's one of the places I go to when I'm thinking of buying a game. I go to watch somebody play it, or I'll go watch
discovering
a
game. I mean, literally, Schedule 1 is a perfect example for me. I got into a channel called Neebs Gaming. Neeb started doing Schedule 1. I watched a few episodes and I kept sitting there thinking, maybe I should pick this up. And eventually I went, do you know what? I am going to pick this up. And I've been stuck on it since. And, you know, that's a sale made because some YouTubers made some funny videos about the game.
Yeah. That's what you need. It's like just hope that it goes viral. You can't, like, yes, Nintendo's a big name, but you can't rely on it.
No, but this is what I think is going to happen is consoles are dying. I'm just going to be honest, consoles are dying, and I think creating a new way to incorporate it into gaming PCs is a fantastic way of doing it. But making sure that it's also living room friendly, because we have a gaming PC in our living room, and I will admit sometimes it's a fucking pain in the arse. I'll be honest with you, because it's not switch on and put the game on. Sometimes it's switch on, oh, there's an update. Oh, hang on, I've made a piece of... I had to invent a piece of software so it was operated, so it's fully operated from the controller when you turn it on, because obviously, although I can open it in Steam Big Picture mode, I also want to use like things like the Xbox Store and things like that. So I actually made a piece of software that meant we could choose which store we wanted to open. So already from the start, it doesn't automatically work via controller, you know. You can if you just did Steam, I suppose.
Well, it's like Steam Big... They'd probably think of something like Steam Big Picture mode for it again.
Yeah, we made sure Steam Big Picture mode turns on when we click the Steam button on in our living room.
Yeah.
You know, there are ways around it, but yeah, I think we need to move to a console-friendly feeling gaming computer. I think that's what's going to happen. I think PlayStation, they're already losing their exclusives because they've already sold off God of War and Horizons and stuff like that to the PC market.
Oh yeah, they have, yeah.
So the exclusive, and we've got a PS5. And don't get me wrong, it's a great console. I'm not saying it's a bad console, but we have, I think, 6 games for it. How long has it been out?
About 5 years.
We can't find any
4 years. No, PlayStation never has games.
No, and it's such a shame because there was a time where you'd get a PlayStation, you go, oh yeah, what game's going to get for the PlayStation? And there'd be times when, because I was an Xbox 360 person, I'd sit there and go, oh, have you seen what they got on the PS3? I want to play it just for that. Oh.
Yeah, Resistance Fall of Man. That was one I always wanted to play, but I never did.
I sort of fell in love with the PS4 world when it was Horizon Zero Dawn and the Spider-Man games. And I was like, oh.
Ghost of Tsushima, which has obviously come to Steam. Ghost of Tsushima.
Spider-Man's come to Steam.
Spider-Man's come to Steam. God of War. Like we said, Death Stranding. Any other PS5 exclusives? Oh, freaking that one with the time loop, and it's kind of Lovecraftian. What's the name of it? Returnal. Returnal. Let me look it up. Returnal.
Might be.
Freaking and Helldivers 2 coming to the PS5, and how's Returnal still £50? It's been out for 2 years. That's cocky.
But I feel like PlayStation is slowly making into the move of, yeah, Xbox is right. Nintendo's not doing it. And
no.
I do think eventually we will see the fall of Nintendo if they don't start picking up on this trend.
Yeah, because they're a bit stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Thing is, for now, they've got the audience and they've got the dedication and they've got the IP to back that up.
Oh, gosh.
For now. But I don't know how long they're going to last, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because all the other companies are starting to
the fact they're now releasing a console which is not reliable. It breaks too easily. There's Joy-Con drift. The fact that people have already hacked it despite it being unhackable. All this jazz just tells me that the Switch 2, I think number 1 was rushed. Number 2,
yes,
I think they cut a lot of corners for the sake of pricing. I mean, me and Nick talk about, I'm going to pick up a Switch 2. It's going to happen. It'll be when I'm in Ireland. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it will probably end up picking whatever the Pro model is. Probably an OLED model, let's face it, because that seems to be what they're doing. But we'll probably end up picking the Pro model, hoping that a lot of these bugs have already been ironed out.
Taking these off at this point and put these back on. Yeah. Hopefully.
But should I be thinking like that? I mean, I didn't wait around for the PS5 Pro. I bought a PS5. You know, I just feel like they've shot themselves in the foot too much.
They absolutely have. But I've got one question when you say all this. Was it actually time for them to even release a new console?
It had been. I mean, when was the Switch 2 released?
It has been a bit of time since the Switch 1, since the first Switch came out. True, but
I've just realised if I open up that on that screen, it blacks out your face. Switch 1 release date. It's 2017, so it has been nearly
8 years.
Yeah.
But still, it's when I say it's like console life cycle, but it's a natural thing. But is it really time?
I mean, the games they were releasing were no longer supported on the consoles being released on.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, the Pokemon stuff and the newer titles were so sluggish and bad on them.
Which Pokemon was that?
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Pokemon Scarlet. Because from what's the one that was in Scotland? What was that one?
Was on what? Sorry.
Look at that. It was like based in Scotland.
Oh, that was Scarlet and Violet.
Scarlet and Violet. Right, I've seen pictures of that. How the hell do they justify the performance issues? Because that game looks like
it looks so laggy.
Basic. It looks basic as fuck, and there's no reason. There's a
whole other argument with Pokemon as well.
It's poorly optimized, is what it is.
With this whole look shit thing, I'm going to go into it very lightly because I want to. So when we go all the way back to Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, all this kind of stuff, you saw your little character animate in terms it would just sort of move a bit to the left and then the other character would go, and move to the right during a battle. And because you were aware of the limitations of the console at the time, even for a child, you had this magical little graphical processor in between called imagination. And it was lovely. We're now at a point where they should be hitting each other. But they don't.
Instead, they just go...
They do in ZA. They have announced that they are actually hitting each other in ZA. And because of that now, you can also get them to dodge attacks, which is interesting.
They should have been doing that in 2006, though. They're 20 years too late.
That's my issue with it. I don't mind that, but you have to consider the fact that we shouldn't be at that point anymore, and it feels like Pokemon's just trying to chug out the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
I think it's just because that's how the games have always been, that they're just trying to stick to the same kind of the technical, I guess.
But you need to also move with the times. I mean, I remember wanting so badly when I was a kid having these Pokemon games on the big screen because I was like, oh, can you imagine what this would look like on like a proper good console? Then they released it for GameCube, and I was not disappointed. Although they weren't hitting each other, like I said, there was enough of a graphical update and enough of a change in the game to make you go, yeah, look at this. This looks amazing on console. It's fantastic.
Is that Pokemon Colosseum?
Yeah. And then I don't think it's too far off Colosseum's graphics these days. Yeah, Colosseum's a bit blocky.
I wanted to say earlier, like, it looks like a GameCube game.
Yeah.
It looks like
my argument. And since then, we've had the Wii, we've had the Wii U, we've now got the Switch and the Switch 2. And yeah, sure, the anti-aliasing's better. Yeah, sure, things are a little smoother, but has it really changed that much?
No, the only difference between Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Colosseum that I see is the number of polygons.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just polygon count.
But the gameplay is exactly the same, and I think it should improve with console.
Did every model in freaking Pokemon Scarlet have like 120,000 polygons or something? Is that why it's so slow? What the hell?
They did this thing where instead of going into wild grass to find Pokemon, they were roaming around, so you can see them and you can go up to them.
That's still not a reason.
Was absolutely awful.
So they have absolutely no excuse as to why that game performs so terribly.
The render distance was absolutely dreadful. So you'd have to be fairly close to see the Pokemon in the first place.
Oh my god, what's the point? What's the point of having an open world if you don't have the render distance?
But what upsets me is, you look at that and then let's look at the other big hit on the Switch, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, that game's got massive
something that's gone. No, we know what the quality of this console is. We know how it works. We're going to make a game that works for it. And do you know what? They're bloody amazing, and they look incredible.
Infinitely better. It looks insanely fun. It's just fantastic. But that game came out in what, 2017, 2018? Around the time of the launch?
But, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom came out, I'm sure, whilst I've been with Nick, so it's only been the past 2-3 years.
Oh yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, and that one, same thing. It's fantastic looking. It plays amazingly, and there's no lag.
Yeah. Hold on. What studio developed?
Pokemon is the Pokemon company.
Is that literally what they're called? Because they used to go under.
It used to be Game Freak.
Yeah, I was going to say they used to be another one. So literally, no, developer is still Game Freak.
Oh, is it? Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. Have they been replaced by heroin addicts? What the fuck is going on?
I don't know. I mean, in terms of going to the limitations of the console, if we go all the way back to Game Boy era when Pokemon came out, they really did work to the limitations of the console. You had a whole world in the palm of your hands, and for a console that small, that was unbelievable. 151 Pokemon to catch on a cartridge, and a console that couldn't even render colour. They did it well, but now it just seems like they've just given up.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's such a good point. They did far better with a console from, 30 years ago, 25 years ago? It was handheld.
1997, the first game came out, I think.
30 years ago, roughly. Wow. That is so depressing.
Let's carry on the depression, shall we?
Oh, dear Lord, go for it.
So, for this next topic, I don't have a video. Oh no. It's because we want to talk about a broad thing, and it's something that we have witnessed recently. And it's something that's been in the news a lot recently, but we're not going to be talking about specific protests or anything like that. We're talking about protests, but we're not going to be talking about specific protests or anything like that. It's more the right to protest. Now, I just want to tell you guys why because it's me that makes up the conversation topics, but why we've decided to talk about this. So, myself and Huel live very close by. And we go to this little city close by called Bangor, if you want to call it a city. I know you're probably going to debate that in itself.
I hardly know her. It's technically a city.
It's technically a city. It's got a cathedral, and they had to give North Wales something. So,
yeah.
But there is actually a big university there. It's called Bangor University. And when I say big, I mean it is the powerhouse for oceanography. David Attenborough went there, for example.
Half the population of the city is students, when it's
it's a powerhouse for psychiatry as well. They do a lot with psychiatry and psychology. They've got massive people going there. Danny Boyle, the film director, did media there as well. There's been big names that have gone there that have learnt their craft and have really honed it. It's a good university who have come under fire a lot recently. Now, there's a lot of issues in terms of budgeting and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into that one.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are hemorrhaging money-wise.
They are also trying to find less than practical ways to make money. And a lot of it includes investing in companies who themselves invest in non-favourable things, like being on the wrong side of the Palestine argument. Because of this, and here comes picture number one. I've got pictures. Oh my god. If I can find my pictures now. It's somewhere on this big list of things I've got here. Okay, so we've got second TV, wheel that in, okay, and it's see-through. And here we go. So what you can see there is it's a large arts and innovation centre called Pontio. And in front of it... And
don't forget about the slug that they spent £100,000 on, and it's just
don't talk about the
weird...
Tubby House, Jesus Christ.
Slug!
It was an art installation they put there that nobody really understood. But what you can see there is a bunch of tents up and ready. And I want to just take a minute. This is actually from Google Street View, so you guys can see this now. It's still on Google Street View like this.
That's
just want to point out they're set up on grass. By the way, nobody walks on that grass. There is loads of walkways and stuff to get to that building. Nobody.
Literally just empty space. That whole area, all that grass and everything. And that's just empty space.
The second thing to point out, the fact is, they're not even encroaching on the pavement. People can walk by, and I have walked by, and they've never ever been disruptive in any way.
If anything, they're very friendly. Because I had a very nice young woman wave at me when I drove past once, and they look very nice.
Yeah. And they are protesting against Palestine. Freeing Palestine. They're protesting.
Yeah, they're protesting to
stop
free
the genocide of it.
Yeah.
And they're protesting against Bangor University because they've been putting money into companies that think opposite of what they think. And protesting should be fine. The reason we've brought it up is because recently Bangor University has decided in their infinite wisdom, which probably costs them money, which doesn't make sense when they've got budgetary constraints in the first place, to put in place something called an aggressive possession order, which means that they aggressively take back their land, which means that the protesters would have to leave. And because we go through our acting class in that building, and what we walked out of our acting class to was this. It was an empty patch of ground. By the way, they've been there for about 2-3 years. I want to point this out as well.
Yeah, they've been there for a while.
Yeah. It's an empty patch of ground, and they've put loads of wooden stakes on it, and every single stake has the aggressive possession order on it, and they've kicked these people out. And I wanted to have a conversation about what is the right thing to do. Should we have freedom of speech? Should we not? Is there a limit at what point we should have freedom of speech? Is protesting okay? Is it not okay? When does it become too much? Just a generalised conversation about censorship and whether or not we can be censored from doing what we're supposed to be able to do, in my opinion. Now, my opinion is what we've just seen is a fucking disgrace. These are peaceful protesters who did nobody any harm, who've been kicked away from protesting because Bangor University didn't like it. But then this also comes into other things. We look back at the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests and how people were literally beaten and killed by police officers over what were peaceful protests most of the time. And of course, we've got the protests going on in LA at the moment, the protests going on in Ireland at the moment, which have involved National Guard or army or just police with the ability to fight and the legal right to fight. Is that right? Is that just? What's your opinions, Cadwin? Be frank.
No, the right to free expression is an absolute necessity for democracy.
Well, the right to protest, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's expression of dissent, and dissent is so important, so significant, regardless who listens and who doesn't. But it needs to be there. Every idea should be heard, not necessarily considered, not even necessarily explored, but should be heard. Yes.
This is it. I'd even advocate for protests that I don't agree with. If someone turned around and said, I don't know, let's say all women should be thought less than men, and they had a huge protest about it, and they went, oh, actually, no, better one that actually has happened. Immigrants in the country, people who've moved to the country legally shouldn't be here, yada, yada, yada. If someone protests against that, don't get me wrong, I'm going to sit there and go, you fucking horrible person. But I'm going to respect their right to protest.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to think if I'm doing something, which I have done recently, protested something that other people don't agree on, which of course is the trans rights movements now in the UK, they should give me the right to protest it, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. But now there's so many things with permits, or I don't even know, like the type of grounds that you're allowed to be doing it on.
Well, the UK, I think it was around 5-6 years ago, maybe, decided to start putting in protesting laws. And they said that you're allowed to protest as long as it doesn't cause an obstruction or offence. Otherwise, it's illegal. But they never really... You're right.
Defined. Yeah, I'm fine.
They never really defined what that was.
Yeah.
So I could stand there on my own as a private protest with my placard that I have at home that says trans rights are human rights on it, and they could come up and go, nah, it's a bit offensive, that.
Somebody will. Some fucker will say that's offensive.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm told that I can't do it, or worse, I might end up in prison because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, similar with this aggressive possession order, if they hadn't moved, they would have quite possibly ended up in prison. Or at least before a solicitor.
Which is ridiculous.
It's disgusting, and the fact that it just feels that people are being censored for their voice and what they believe, I think is just... It's just not right. It's not just.
No, not at all. No, it's taking away someone's voice. But the thing is, when it comes to situations like this, I always like... I'm gonna reference Game of Thrones, even though it's a show I lost interest in a long time ago. Oh, so sorry. There's a really good line where if you cut off a man's tongue, doesn't mean you're powerful. It just means you're afraid of what he has to say. That's basically what they've done. They've taken away their right of expression.
I do like that.
And they're essentially scared.
Well, I think that's what it is.
TV's gone. You need a little animation for your TV, by the way, so it's actually just like just comes in from the side.
Yeah, I know. I need to work that one. It'd be quite easy to do.
Yeah,
but I did that quite quickly today. I've not had much free time.
That's fine. It's fine. Neither have I. Don't worry.
But yeah, I'm just feeling there's this trend at the moment that westernized cultures, well, I say westernized cultures, what am I talking about? It's not westernized. Britain and the US have put in place where they feel they can just silence anything they don't agree with. And it's...
the governments, rather. The governments.
Yeah, I should say, sorry, yeah. Not the people, because it's clear the people do not agree. We've seen the LA protests. But I also want to point out there is another side of it where the police should get involved, and that's if it becomes riots.
Yeah.
If people get hurt, that's how it should be. I saw a film, I can't remember the name of it, it was several years ago, and it was depicting a protest that had become a riot. And before it became a riot because the police got involved. And it was based on a true story. It was a documentary-based film. And the peaceful protesters ended up having to huddle, shouting the words peaceful protest to try and make the police know that they're not there to harm anyone.
Yeah.
And they were still arrested and beaten.
They're still arrested, yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is, does the actual presence of police in those situations, wouldn't that kind of aggravate or agitate the situation?
Well, this is something you might be interested in hearing about, actually. For those who don't know, I was part of of a local group for organising North Wales Pride last year. And it's a heavy discussion, especially with the LGBT, about police presence. Personally, I'm in the mindset that we should have police present in any protest or even marches or anything like that, just for the matter of safety. That's my personal opinion. I understand it's a different feeling in America, and I'm not advocating for what Americans feel like. I'm well aware of that fact.
Yeah, they've got a completely different situation than we do.
And the police came up to us and said, look, we want to march in your parade. And we had a huge conversation about how they couldn't march in the parade because of the history between the LGBT and the police.
Yeah.
So actually involving police can cause an issue in the first place.
Yeah.
I think there should be police presence in every single protest, march, riot, well, riots definitely, but in every single demonstration there should be police presence because it's just protecting the peace.
Yeah.
I went to Manchester Pride, much bigger Pride, several years ago, and there were a group of religious people who decided that what we were doing was wrong and were shouting from the sidelines, and at that point I was very comfortable knowing that between us was a line of police.
Yeah, good.
Because that way I knew they're not going to harm us and we're not going to harm them. It works both ways.
Yeah. It's the last thing you need.
But sometimes, unfortunately, bringing the police to certain matters, especially when you consider things like there was a very popular very famous, UK riots, the London riots, which I'm sure most people remember. It was based upon a police officer indiscriminately killing someone because they believed they had a weapon on them. And the whole of the UK began rioting. They didn't begin rioting. This is how the media spun it. It began as a protest, and because the police were present about a protest against the police, it became a riot.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a very thin line sometimes.
It's a difficult one because it's so easy. It just takes, because protests are often like just a big room of gas, and it just takes that one match to just.
Well, yeah, you've got a bunch of extraordinarily angry people. I mean,
passionate people.
If I can tell you anything about a protest, number one, if you get a chance to go on, I genuinely recommend it. It's quite fun. I know it's not the idea of it being fun, but it genuinely is. You get to go down the street chanting things and
like-minded people and everything
with
like
like-minded people. It's great, but you have to understand as well that the people you're next to. I mean, I when we were doing the Pride March, we started with some speeches, and I burst into tears, let alone a couple of other people, because of what we were fighting against, and it's a very emotional powder keg. And I think if someone had, when we were going down the street, started shouting obscenities at us, I think someone would have shouted back. And it may have escalated. For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think we were a group that were violent, but I think because you had so many emotional people who were on that real edge of emotion at that point, it's ready to set off. And I think all these things need to be done very delicately. And by delicately, I don't mean putting an aggressive possession order.
No.
That's violent.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. But the police were present, and I want to say, good for those people who were protesting with the Free Palestine movement. They did have a massive protest on the gates of Bangor University the following night to protest against the aggressive possession order, which I love. And it was not just attended, I must point out, by the people who were organising the Free Palestine movement. It was also attended by multiple students who agreed.
Good on them.
Yeah. But this is it. The other side of things is protests aren't what they used to be. We like to think of protests back with the women's rights movements, where they did make change. Those protests were huge changes. Or the LGBT movement, where the Stonewall protests ended up changing the face of the LGBT as we have it today. I don't see that change anymore.
Do you want to know why? Because our voices aren't. I don't think that normal people's voices are as powerful as they used to be.
We have more of a platform to be able to speak our mind, but at the same time,
nobody cares.
Listens.
Nobody listens. Nobody cares.
And it
I don't know if it just
everything on the internet as well, which doesn't.
It's not just that we've not been so divided politically as people as before. In the past, you could have people that would be on two different sides of the coin, and they would be able to speak to each other. But nowadays, if you have somebody on the right and somebody on the left, they treat each other, instead of being the same countrymen, we just disagree. Now they are enemies. Which is a ridiculous idea. This you've got more in common with each other than you do the leaders of the parties you support.
Oh gosh, yeah.
People forget that.
The leaders that we tend to follow are often private school students, which there's nothing wrong with, by the way. I know a few private schools.
No, nothing wrong. But
it's a rarity compared to the average man. They're usually from money. They usually have wealth themselves. And these are the people who sit in there going, no, we know what you people want. I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
It's why we're seeing things like the removal of the winter fuel bill in this country and things like that. It's because they don't understand how people are struggling. There was it's hilarious for all the wrong reasons, but there was a very famous conversation with Boris Johnson where he decided to get rid of the winter fuel bill. By the way, it's a bill that allows people who are elderly, infirm, or poor to have a little extra money during the winter to help heat their homes. He was having a conversation, an interview, and someone pointed out there was this old woman who couldn't afford both food and heating. So what she would do, she'd spend the entire day on the bus using the free bus pass she had as an elderly person to stay warm, and then come home, eat, and go to bed. And that's the only way she could technically survive the winter. And Boris Johnson's response was, well, I think you'll find it was my government that brought in that bus pass.
We're just so completely out of touch and absolutely no awareness.
It's hilarious because Jesus Christ, that's what you took from it, but also tragic because it's clear that he doesn't understand what
no, it doesn't. No. Well, what do you mean you don't have the money? Why can't he just buy more? Is like that's what I get from that because people forget his name is like his middle name is like DeFeffel. He's got like 5 of them, but his middle name is DeFeffel. Now, if that doesn't tell you that he's not one of you, I don't know what does. But he ain't one of you, man.
I don't think we're going to, at any point in the next 20, 30 years, have somebody like that in power. And that's what upsets me. And it's why I'm leaving this country. Part of the reason. Yeah.
It's difficult for the common man to get in, because it's not even a boys' club, it's an elite club now, because everybody that's in there, they're all...
You also have to spend money to run for Parliament.
Yeah.
There's literally an entry fee.
Yeah, it's a glass ceiling for the poor. God knows how Angela Rayner again. It doesn't. It isn't right. It's fucked up. Political systems around the world need to change, in my opinion.
Going back to the original thing, it clearly proves that we are being censored by the government because they won't listen to us when we're shouting down the streets demanding, in my case, basic human rights.
You heard the rabbit talking again. Oh.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
It's upsetting.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's worrying. It's absolutely worrying. I can't believe it. I don't know. Sometimes I just can't believe the situation that we're in.
I mean, I really can't. You know that.
No, I know. But they keep making these decisions that nobody asked them to do. Half of them weren't even in the manifestos that they promised in their freaking.
I mean, if I can go into the trans rights thing for a minute, this just shows how power and money corrupts. So, for those who don't know, the UK government have put in place the idea that trans women no longer get represented as women and trans men no longer get represented as men, which means in a legal sense we won't be able to use bathrooms or changing rooms or go onto the correct ward in hospitals, end up in the wrong prisons. There's a lot of issues that can cause a lot of problems. The reason I'm saying it shows how corrupt and money hungry it is because the group that brought it to the Supreme Court are a group called For Women Scotland, and they were funded by J.K. Rowling, who had spent over £60,000 of her own money to lobby it into the Supreme Court and then bribed the judges to ensure that there'd be no trans representation there whatsoever.
That's the most sickening part as well.
Power and money corrupts, absolutely.
Yeah. You could buy a really cool car with £60,000. That's such a waste.
And instead I'm going to get a Hyundai i10. Next week, Hyundai i10. Whoa.
Yay. That sounds nice. But I'm just...
But while we sit here on the podcast, talking about this, we know we haven't got any voice of authority or able to change anything, but I feel it's sometimes important to highlight these issues to you, which is why we talk about it.
And even then, there's another point of who are we to actually talk about this. But the thing is, like, as much as we can't provide solutions because we're not political theorists, but can we have an opinion of it? Of course, so can you. It's important to everybody to talk about it.
And
you can have an opinion.
Welcome people's opinions that may be contrary of what we've spoken to today.
Absolutely. It's healthy discussion.
I want to point out this lovely little thing. I was on Facebook and a local council of ours had put up an LGBT flag. And I stupidly pressed the comments button and suddenly saw someone saying things like, you already have your own rights, why are you bloody moaning, yada, 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 yada. And you know what? I have made a friend with that person. I genuinely have, because I first started the whole fight back thing of, well, we're doing it because we don't have any rights, all this kind of stuff. But then he turned around and he said, you don't understand, you're not seeing it from my point of view. And I went, that's a fair point. And I said to him, what is your point of view? And we had a perfectly civil conversation about it. He started coming around to saying that he didn't understand the issues we were having and thought otherwise. And I came around saying I can see how he could have seen it that way. Because to him, he'd started seeing this boom of LGBT-ness where you start seeing flags flying across the street, you start seeing protests. The council that had put the flag up had actually had a pride parade in their council recently. So he's been seeing all this and he's thinking, well, it's all over, all this issue's over. And I could see how he was seeing it. And we had this middle ground that we met. Why can't we do this with the government, please? Why can't we have a civil conversation? Why is it shouting at each other? As soon as people start talking to each other properly, you suddenly realise, actually, people can get on.
It's a bit... I'm going to go, like, conspiracy theory hat for a moment. But do you think it's convenient that that keeps going on and they don't discourage it, or they don't try and stop it, or they don't anything like that? Because it helps them. It helps them to keep everyone apart, and that means everybody's distracted.
I mean, yeah, one of the things I'd like to highlight with, again, the protest that I'm going against, the trans rights protest at the moment, there was a very large protest the day after the UK Supreme Court in London, which I fully supported. However, they defaced statues. They graffitied statues, they damaged statues of women's activists that were in London. And although I can see the anger and perhaps why they've done it in that degree, at the same time, you're not
doing
us.
You're not doing yourself any favors. But especially for people like me, as you know, I like history a lot, and I'm not for that.
And I would fight for women's rights again if all that came up again, because
don't deface statues like that. Then we need them
to
remind us of stuff. We learn from history. That's the good thing about it.
Precisely, and I think it's such a shame that this movement had just painted a target on their backs. That's what I feel has happened. All you've done is discredit rather than actually help and promote. I know what you're saying, and I know you're angry, and I know you wanted to plaster it all over the ceiling. I fully understand that. But at the same time, by doing so, you're harming yourselves. Because what's the media going to pick up on? It's not going to be picking up on, there was a protest, like it should. It go, there was a protest, but look, they defaced the statues. Aren't they terrible people? And it's not these protesters or these unique few within the protest that did this. It's the trans community did this. And all of a sudden, you're demonizing us again.
Yeah.
So if any of you are going to go protest, please, please, please do not do anything that harms anybody or is illegal in any way, because all it does is make things look worse on yourself and the people that you're trying to represent. Peaceful protests should be just that. Peaceful. I mean, shouting, but peaceful.
Yeah. But throwing stuff, vandalism, graffiti, it does not make you look good.
No, and it just...
You got to think about the optics at the same time.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm very left-wing, and I can see it from why they're so angry, but a lot of people won't see that.
No, a lot of people do have trouble with putting themselves in other people's shoes. But, no, they won't. They'll see that, they're doing this one bad thing in the middle of protest of an injustice that's been done to them. Are they going to pay attention to the injustice that's been done to them? No, they're just going to see a bunch of people behaving badly.
In fact, I'm terrible because I know I follow, they say they're non-biased, but a right-wing media group that I tend to...
Which one?
It's, I don't want to name any names, but, hey, do you know I don't have a TV license?
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'll say. You can figure it out from that. So I can't watch a specific channel.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I tend to, because it seems to be the most website friendly for me, so it's easier to go through. And there was one post about the protest, and there were 3 posts about the damage that was done. First one highlighting that damage had been done, a second one actually looking at what damage had been done, and a third one about the criminal proceedings that are going against those people who have done those damage. So already you're highlighting more in the media the bad than the good.
Yeah.
But it's also very right-wing, so it's quite normal for
the media doesn't help either, though. The media sensationalizes so many things nowadays.
Yeah.
That's very cheap. It's a shame, really.
So sorry to end on a sour note.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's heavy times that we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have got good stuff coming up. We do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, well, hopefully, apart from the second half of this, well, actually, most of this actually, because the Switch 2 discussion wasn't freaking all fun.
Oh, I enjoy that though.
I did enjoy it. I do like shitting on anti-consumer business practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But tomorrow is going to be a whole new series.
Yes.
Because I also lost all my assets when my hard drive failed, so we haven't got the updated posters behind me, but we finished Angel's Death. I had to quickly scramble this back together. We haven't we have finished Angel's Death, and now we are going on to something different, and it's not Phoenix Wright. Sorry. No. That's going to be next month.
Yes. Yeah, we will go to it. We will go to it.
Ran by a lovely Cyberman 360, Ben.
Yes.
We're going to be playing Little Kitty Big City tomorrow.
Yay!
Little kitties in a big city.
I love that game. It's so cute.
I've never played it. I've seen bits. I'm very excited.
It's fun. It's fun.
It seems
there's a lot
absolutely ridiculous, and I love it.
It's adorable. It's great. It's like it's like the manic depression, like the happy manically happy version of Stray.
Oh,
if Stray was the manically depressed version.
Stray was incredible.
Stray's great. Anything to do with cats like that, it's like I'll play it. I love cats.
So until then, Huel, where can we see you? Where can we find you? The stepladder that's in your in the reflection of your TV. What did you use it for?
So you can find me on Instagram, Huel_Clover. I build models like those little tanks over there, that plane here, and there's more planes up that way, but you can't see them. And the last thing I used that stepladder for, that you can see there in the reflection, was to reorganize and tidy up that big stack of boxes there, and there's another big stack of boxes over there. You can see that. Tickle. And there's another big stack of them over that.
Oh gosh!
Oh, there we go. There's more of them.
Some more on top of the other one in the corner there as well.
Oh yeah, those are unfinished because some of them kind of suck and a pain in the ass.
And as for me, you can see me here tomorrow. As per usual. I don't do anything.
Oh, and me, actually, that's a fair point. Yeah, I'll be here too.
Yeah.
Yay!
But thank you for those who have joined. I know it's been a smaller stream. But we also know that everybody's getting ready for Father's Day tomorrow. We hope you can join us, even though it's Father's Day tomorrow. We really do. Mm-hmm. Because it's going to be funny. It's going to have kitties, and Ben's going to be in it. Hey!
Yeah.
The bloody Celtic fan he is.
I'd love if he wasn't here now.
Until then, nostalgia.
Until then, farewell. Good night. Hope you enjoyed. Good night.
But if you